Hi burners, I'm here with Dan from Team Ecto. So Dan is a PT, a nutritionist and a sports scientist.
Yep.
The reason we have Dan in is because he is the go-to guy in Perth to prep for competitions and sleuth out these health issues as well.
That's why we created the business, to help the people who need the help.
Yeah, okay. And it's great that he's here, so we've got a great resource to ask some common questions that our burners ask us to someone who is a highly qualified expert. So you're happy to help today?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Awesome. So I've got the list of questions here. I'll just fire the first ones off. The first one is, carbohydrates make me gain weight.
Okay.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, we have to then explain, okay, what type of weight are we talking about? Like it says in the name itself, carbohydrate. So every gram of carbohydrate you consume will carry around about 3 to 4 grams of water.
Right.
So if we then go, okay, is it weight as in water weight? Is it a little bit of sodium that comes with carbohydrates as well? Like you're getting a bit of glycogen in the muscle, you feel a little bit of water, you get a little good pump, you feel fuller, or are we talking fat weight?
So they could be talking about just overnight.
Yeah.
And in that case, it would be sodium or water.
It would be
weight.
sodium and water, yeah, exactly. So if we find it quite funny all the time, like people will associate a number increase in the scale with being just a fat weight, and they're like, oh my God, I've got so much fat. It's like, well, no, you haven't. It's like if I was to slam down this water very quickly and hop on the scales, I would weigh heavier.
Yes.
But it's not fat, it's water weight, which I can have by an increase in carbohydrates in my diet.
Right.
So would that be a case of, am I getting fatter from that? No, I think it does increase weight, but we need to change the semantics of what the actual weight is.
So then if we understand that having carbohydrates can create a quick result in weight gain for water and sodium,
Yeah.
what about those people that are talking about carbohydrates over the long term, making them gain body fat? What do you have to say about that?
No, that's an overconsumption of calories.
Right.
So that means they're just overconsuming the calorie intake, so their intake is higher than their output, and then that's when you'd need to assess what are they actually eating. If they're over-consuming calories and they're not training as hard, which, having carbs is great for performance, then we'd probably say, okay, maybe you need to reduce your food intake a little bit and create a natural calorie deficit to then drop body fat.
Right, okay. And so what about those people that will turn around and say, well, protein keeps me fuller, and so I eat less protein, and I'm fuller, and carbohydrates I can just keep eating. And that goes back to the calorie consumption.
Yeah, it comes back to that. So protein is very, very satiating, so it does make you feel full. I mean, try and eat like 500 calories worth of chicken breast versus 500 calories of rice. You can do one a lot easier than
rice
the other
is
one.
a lot easier.
Yeah, you can just inhale that and it's down there, So again, it comes down to what are they consuming day to day, and then just manipulating that a little bit to help with the fat loss goals.
So really it's calories in, calories out.
Yeah, in a general statement, yes.
Yes. Yeah. It can get a lot more
Oh,
complicated
it gets
than
so
that.
much crazy, but for most people, match your input versus your output, and then just manipulate it based on your goal.
And don't worry about carbs or protein.
Carbs are magic.
Yes.
They make things just happen. Yeah, exactly.
And then, all right, so we've got a second question here. I'm eating under 1,000 calories and exercising every day, but I'm not losing weight.
Okay.
What's going on?
We have to understand the human body is very, very smart. Okay, and what I mean by that is our main goal in life is not so much about trying to look really good, even though that's an amazing thing to do, but it's more so your ability to survive every day. So if you are consuming less and less food, your body will adapt to that and it will start down-regulating things such as like NEAT, your ability to exercise, so you become more efficient in movement patterns, you might not move as much, and it will start also shutting down certain things like your thyroid hormone and stuff like that as well. So in that sense, what's probably happened is they've probably become now that's their new baseline.
Right.
So if that's the case, then maybe we'll look at slowly increasing calories up higher, either in terms of a reverse dieting or a recovery diet, so go straight back to maintenance, and still keep exercising as you would, and you might notice your weight might start coming down a little bit more, or you actually start looking better for it.
By eating more.
Yeah.
And when you say it creates a new baseline, are you talking about BMR or basal metabolic rate?
Rested metabolic. Yeah, basal's a little bit tricky to determine unless you have like a really like sexy ass lab where you can sleep in and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's very hard to do. So we normally say rested metabolic rate.
Okay.
So at that point in time, most people would be kind of consuming into their rested metabolic rate, which would start, decreasing. They'll start increasing muscle protein breakdown. They'll start having an increase in catecholamines and thyroid hormones start to go down, so then that starts regulating metabolism a little bit slower. So all those things start coming into play, yeah.
So what you're saying is that if they eat too little calories and exercise too much, sometimes their metabolic rate can come down.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So you start trying to protect yourself, you know. The goal of the body is to survive whatever situation you go into. Same like with training, right? So if you are training, you're bench pressing, and you notice that's really, really heavy, your body starts to break down muscle tissue and start breaking it down, so then you can repair it. So the next time you start benching again, it becomes a little bit easier. It's all about trying to adapt and survive whatever the stimulus is coming at it.
Right, okay, I think that answered a really good question. So people that do, they undereat and they overtrain and then they can't lose weight, their body is simply adapting to this overtraining, undereating, and it reduces metabolic rate, and so you have to maintain that calorie and you won't lose weight. But you're saying that if you can eat more, sometimes you'll lose weight. How does that work?
So there's a few ways that this can happen. So the first, I'll break down total metabolism if that's okay. So we have obviously resting metabolic rate. Yeah. We have the thermic effect of food and the thermic effect of activity, and then another thing called NEAT. So NEAT's very, very hard to actually track and manage because that's kind of like unstructured movement. So like me waving my hands is like Ricky Bobby right now. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Or like steps and stuff like that. So as long as you don't track it, it's still unstructured movement, right? So if we have someone who's eating, say, 1,000 calories, and then we bring them up to 1,200, so 200 calories more a day. So not only are they going to have an increase in thermic effect of food, which is your body's ability to break down and digest that food. So we know that protein has a 20 to 30%, carbs is about 5 to 10, and then fats is like 1 to 2%. So if I was to consume 100 calories of protein, I would actually lose about 20 to 30% of that just breaking down that protein source itself.
Right, okay.
So you see, that's why they say protein is quite satiating, because it's very expensive to do so. So
right, so you can eat 100 grams of protein and you're only really getting the calorie effect of
say like 70 to 80, yeah.
But you'll feel fuller because you've eaten it.
So that's a real cool trick with that. But
right, okay.
So if I'm eating more food, I'm going to have a higher thermic effect of food because I'm consuming more, so therefore I'm allowing that to come into play a bit more. And then the same thing with thermic effect of activity is if I'm eating more food, I'm going to have more energy to do things. So now I can train harder, especially if I'm using carbohydrates, which we know is very, very important for performance goals. So if I consume, say, 200 calories of carbohydrates, for example, well, I'm now actually consuming whatever 5 to 10% of that is less. And now I'm going to train harder, which actually may increase my overall calorie expenditure.
Right, okay. So you're taking more in, but you're probably going to burn more.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So doing a process like that, where you slowly build it up like that, will actually allow you to eat more food whilst either getting better in performance and obviously thus improving body composition or maintaining what you're at.
Right, I see. Okay. So if you're eating under 1,000 calories and exercising every day, the ideal way to actually fix that is start increasing calories slowly.
Yeah.
Would you decrease the exercise component if you're training too hard?
It comes down to the psychology of a person. Some people don't like to stop training, and I find particularly if with a lot of females, they'll like to keep training in quite high. So I would probably then just focus on increasing food at a lot faster rate. If you're okay with that, then I'd say, look, why don't do both?
And will that increase in food repair metabolic rate?
Yeah. I wouldn't say repair. I'd say improve.
Improve.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because obviously the thing with whole like metabolic damage and stuff like that, like there's two sides to this coin. So some people say that it's true, some people say that it's not. We just say it improves it.
It improves it. So the body's just adapted, and then it improves by increasing that metabolic rate or resting metabolic rate. Okay, well that's a really in-depth explanation to that question. Look, if you do have any questions regarding what we're talking about, just flick a message at the bottom of this video, and one of our team, or even we can ask Dan, and he may be able to give you a hand later on down the track.
Yeah, for sure.
So next question we have is, I've tried so many diets, but nothing works for me. So what would you say to someone that says that to you?
Okay, so first thing we got to understand is like a diet's, it's semantics again. I hate the word diet. I think like
it's so overused. Yeah,
it's overused, but it's also when I say diet to you, it's a short-term period, right?
Yes.
So everyone goes, oh, I'm doing an 8-week diet. I'm doing a 12-week diet. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do at week 13? You know, like, are you going to be doing the diet for that time period? Are you making it a sustainable part of your life where you can now keep it working for you? Or are you doing your 8-week, I don't know, intermittent fasting diet or 8-week keto diet or 8-week high. It doesn't matter. It's not sustainable. You know what I mean?
So you'll bounce back to
yeah,
where you were.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to look at it and go, okay, well, what's the purpose of you doing this, and what's your escape plan? What's your action plan afterwards? You know, if I go, oh, I'm gonna diet for 8 weeks, okay, I'm reducing, say, my calorie intake. I'm gonna follow a certain plan, but I know when it comes to week 9, I know what I'm gonna be doing afterwards to make sure that I can still keep the result I've got going.
Sure.
And then continue it for a long period of time, you know, for this thing called life.
Well, then and that makes a lot of sense. And I think people sort of lose that. They think it's going to be a one-time fix and then they can just go back to normal. You've got to improve your lifestyle and your overall dietary changes. But what if someone turns around and says, I've tried an 8-week diet, but I get no change with my diet. So I can go for 8 weeks, but nothing changes by the end. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so if someone's done an 8-week diet, so say they go, okay, we're on a certain amount of calories and stuff like that, then we'd need to look at, okay, was the deficit sufficient enough for them to create a change? So, you know, because it's all equations and theories, you might go, oh, I think I need to be on 1,500 calories to create deficit. Very arbitrary number, but it might be like that. And we go, okay, well, no, that didn't get the results that you needed. Maybe less, maybe more output if you don't feel like going lower. Whatever it may be to create that calorie deficit would have been more of a sufficient way to do it.
So this general term of I've tried diets, nothing works for me, you go, wait a second, we need to get a lot more specific.
Yeah. So it's when everyone comes to us and they go, okay, like I want to go on a nutrition plan with you, I want to do this. We go, okay, well, what have you done in the past? What's got you to come to me right now? And then we go, okay, then from there we'll adjust things and we'll create a plan that works with their lifestyle. You know, like, it's not, okay, this is what I think works, here, you take it, because it might not work for you. So then we go, okay, what do you currently do? What's your current eating like? What do you do right now? And then we just manipulate it to get them to the goal they want. And I find a lot of times doing that doesn't make it feel like a diet, and therefore they can continue on with the results till the end of time, you know, and then it's a case of educating them and showing them, okay, this is how you get out of the calorie deficit or the action plan afterwards, to give you that sustainable result long term.
So that's if they go to you. What if someone says, look, I haven't had advice from a PT or a nutritionist or an expert. I've literally got this diet from a magazine or a paper, or I'm following the Atkins diet, or I'm following the diet my mate gave me, or a friend gave me, and nothing works in that regard. What about that sort of person?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is if they got it from the magazine and stuff like that, well, first throw it in the bin, but 2, ask yourself, can you have that diet, or will you stay on that diet for the next 5 years?
Right.
That's a very short-term way of thinking. Is like, if you can stay on it for the next 5 years, great. That's the perfect plan for you.
What if that didn't work for them? What if they stayed on that diet for 8 weeks and nothing changed, and they've tried every diet in the book, and nothing changes?
So then just write down what you eat in a day.
Okay.
Do that for a week. Go on MyFitnessPal, whatever, enter those foods in. That's your baseline right now. Then all you need to do is ask yourself 2 things. Can I train a little bit more, or can I eat a little bit less? And then do that. Then measure, manage, and manipulate. So if they can't, if they measure themselves and they're down in centimeters around their waist, their arms, legs, whatever they're using as their objective value, okay? Not just the scales. Scales are great, but you need to have it with something else. It's got to be complemented, and it works, then great. We'll keep on that until it doesn't work. And then when it doesn't work, manipulate it again. So ask again, can I do a little bit more output, or can I eat a little bit less? And do that until you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I've gone a little bit too low now with calories, or I'm training way too much now. And then start bringing yourself back up to a good standpoint again.
Right. And then how about if, so that's how we would fix them. What if they actually, what would be the answer that you would give them if they ask the question, why isn't it working? I've tried every diet. Why isn't it working?
Why? It's because they're not in a deficit.
So that's
as simple as that.
So they can try any diet they want. It's never working. It's because they're intaking more calories than they're expending in exercise.
Yeah. In a very simple crush things. The other thing I find as well is when people say that, you go, okay, cool. Most of the time they follow the diet Monday to Friday. Saturday they give themselves the day off. Sunday they feel bad about themselves, so then they try and reduce it, and then we create this lovely binge cycle, I'd say, so to speak, of that. So that's one aspect, but then also are we having like subconscious eating? You know, are you ordering like your coffee with, I don't know, full cream milk or whatever, stuff like that, which does have calories in it. So there's all these hidden treats.
But
and
they're
stuff.
not following the diet like they think they are.
Yeah, so then we got to look at, okay, is it compliancy issues and stuff like that as well? But most of the time, if they say a diet's not working, it's because it's not a deficit.
It's not a deficit,
Yeah.
okay? And just, I know we were talking about it before, but the easy way to explain that, what would a deficit be?
So a deficit is, in very, very simple terms, is your input less than your output?
So input is food that you've eaten?
Yep, essentially anything that goes in your mouth. So because if we say food and we have a glass of wine or, you know,
That's still
10
calories.
shots of tequila, that's still calories going in, you know, or if you have, you know, your soy frappuccino with dusted chocolate or whatever, that's still going to have calories in it.
Drinks have calories.
Yeah. The only thing that doesn't is water, funny enough.
That's it,
Yeah. So what I'd say is anything that's going in your mouth, that's your input. Output is anything that you do that's physically active or just requires you to have energy expending.
Right, okay. So the diet's not working because you're putting too much in and you're not exercising it or moving enough.
Exactly.
Right, okay. And that's why a diet won't work. Doesn't matter what they try. If they're in a calorie surplus, nothing happens. Okay, excellent. We have another question here. I can't have protein as it makes me gain too much muscle. So I think that's from a lot of our female burners.
Okay.
What would your answer be, or what comment would you have to someone that would say, I can't have protein as it makes me gain too much muscle?
Okay, so
He's laughing.
I'm like, this is it doesn't make you gain that much muscle. Unfortunately, I wish it did. So look, there's obviously some ranges in terms of protein that we got to understand. So normally with a lot of women, I'd say is about 2 grams per kilo body weight. It's a very, very easy start number. It's quick for them to work out. So if we say average girl, say 60 kilos, just for the maths, that's 120 grams of protein a day.
Which is quite a bit.
It's quite a bit, yeah, I totally agree. So if we were to go, okay, 100 grams of chicken breast is, say, 30 grams of protein, 2 whey protein isolates is 24, 48. So that's about 78 grams of protein just there. So if we have, say, 2 meals which have protein in it, 2 shakes, and then like breakfast, whatever that may be, you could hit that quite easily.
Sure.
I don't think protein causes them to gain that much muscle unless, like, you know, they're training very heavy, but they're also in a surplus as well. You know, you've got to understand that to grow something, okay, because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it's just converted from one thing to another, you got to have energy to do so, okay? Like, everyone thinks that, like, gaining muscle is, like, super easy and stuff. It's not. It's more exhausting than dieting itself, you know? So you have to understand that it does take energy to add on a lot of lean tissue. So I think that's where people kind of get that misconstruction of it, and they feel like, particularly women, that they feel like, you know, they're getting bulky because, you know, they're now weight training, they're eating a lot of food and stuff like that. And this is where I might get beaten up by a lot of your female burners here. You still got fat on your bodies though, you know, so that's going to be on top of. So that's probably the reason why maybe you have to do a little bit of a deficit now, put a little bit of that fat off, and hey ho, you know, you actually look amazing, you know. So I don't think that's a very bad question. Yeah.
Right, well, we do. When I was working in a retail store, you know, we would suggest a protein to a female, and I think just through the last 10, 20 years, they associate protein as being the only supplement out there, and they hear of the word supplement and they think supplement means bodybuilder.
Yeah.
An image of Arnold Schwarzenegger comes into their head, and for some reason they think 1 scoop of protein is going to make me wake up looking like Arnold.
I
So-
wish. I wish.
Then we would do it.
I'd be injecting that into my eyeballs. You know what I mean? No, I don't. I think, and that's where it's a lot of misinformation's coming out now.
Yeah.
So it's the most important thing that we have to understand is obviously protein's not just for muscle building. It's very, very important for a lot of things, like, you know, your organs. So your liver actually requires a lot of amino acids to function, and if you don't have a healthy liver, then you're going to have a lot of other health complications going through. Also, enzymes need it as well. Hormones require this as well. So we got to look at, it's not just protein for muscle building, but it's protein for health.
So what you're saying is females should be on more protein and they could benefit from a protein shake?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like if they can't get a full meal in, which, you know, in today's lives, we're very busy, we're always on the go, and that's how we kind of are, I would definitely say have some sort of protein shake, whey protein, vegan-based protein, whatever it may be, to help supplement that and then actually help them get towards their goals better.
Will they wake up the next day looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
They won't?
No.
Will they possibly, over a long period of time, give them a nice looking muscle tone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, and I think that's another thing that we have to talk about too, is that females don't produce as much testosterone. So whereas males might be able to convert using testosterone a bit more muscle mass, females, even if they push heavy weights and take protein, they're not going to get massive.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I think from research, and I'm going to just throw this number, I might get it wrong, so don't attack me, please. I think it's like 1/10 of the testosterone that a male has, a female has.
Right.
So actually a lot of our muscle building for women actually comes from estrogen.
Right.
So that's it. Estrogen's actually good.
Yeah, the right amounts.
Yeah,
the
right
types.
amounts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's where I think it's, again, that misinformation's coming out there. So it's time to, start informing some people.
Exactly, which is what we're doing here
Exactly,
today.
that's why we're here.
From Dan from Team Ecto, he's a PT, he's a nutritionist and a sports science, is saying that females are fine to have protein, and especially protein powder, and it's possibly recommended as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. A next part that we'd like to do is just ask you a personal question regarding to your 3 top tips when it comes to nutrition and weight loss. So that's putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
What would be your 3 top tips with nutrition and weight loss?
Okay, so the first thing I always say, and I say this to a lot of clients, is to scale your expectations to your commitments. So if you want to, get insanely lean as fast as you can and stuff, that's obviously fine to do, but scale your expectations. So if you're not going to, track your food, go to sleep on time, train appropriately and aim to progressively overload that, then maybe your expectation is not going to be as good as your commitment. If on the weekend you still want to go out with your friends and have like dinner and drinks and stuff like that,
Which they're fine to do. Yeah.
I do,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I've my expectations is based on my commitments. I know that,
Sure.
so I always say, like, I know what I'm going to get myself into, and I'm okay to do that, But I see a lot of times with a lot of people when they go, oh, I was good Monday to Friday, Saturday comes around, and they go, well, why am I not looking like so and so? It's like, okay, well, their commitments are different to yours, and that's why they're going to look different to you, So I always say, make sure you do that, is scale your expectations to your commitments, but also understand that, every person's different. Like, if we were to talk about, like an analogy of books, you might be on chapter 8, I might be on chapter 9, but we also might be 2 different books, like you might be, say, Harry Potter book number 2, and I might be book number 1. You know what I mean? So never compare yourself to other people, but also understand that your expectations are based on your commitments.
Okay, so
that
I think that's probably a really good number 1, actually.
Yeah.
Always scale your expectations to your commitments. I think
Yeah,
that's really good.
yeah. Number 2, probably be, like, obviously, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Okay.
So, and that's the thing, like, obviously, whatever you can manage and whatever you can measure is what's going to help you get results. You know what I mean? Like, if you hear all these people and they go like, oh, like certain hormone stuff and all that, it's like, okay, you're not going to get blood work done every week.
So don't talk about concentrate on the ones you can measure.
So yeah, talk about the ones you can measure, but also what you can manipulate as well and manage. So if I can measure how much food I eat a day, okay, I know I can bring that up and I can bring that down depending on what I need. But I'm not going to worry about anything else that I won't be able to manage over time, and that's it. It's about consistent daily approaches to that, and that's what gets you to the results.
So you mentioned obviously tracking food.
Yep.
What else would you suggest to measure?
I always measure performance in the gym.
Okay.
So that to me is very, very important. So if I look at, I'm trying to create an adaptation in my body, whether it's fat loss, muscle gain, anything like that, and I go, okay, have I done better than the previous time before?
Okay.
If it's yes, great, we're on the right track. If the answer is no, okay, why was that? Okay, I didn't get a good enough sleep. Okay, maybe I should start measuring my sleeping. So how long am I sleeping for? What's the quality of my sleep for? Did I have enough water that day? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so I need to make sure that I drink plenty of water to keep myself hydrated, to make sure that I'm getting a good session. So these are very, very simple things that I think are not sexy, and that's why no one does them anymore, but that's what gets results.
Right, and so how would you do it? Do you have a diary? Do you just have a pen and a piece of paper, or do you have a booklet? How do
So
you write?
we have a coaching app that we use for our clients. So everything's done on there, so they can see what food they need to eat for the day, what's the calories, the protein, carbs, and fats if they do flexible dieting, and also it has training programs on there as well. So we do it our way like that, but I find whatever way that works for a person, keep at it, because again, it's got to be consistency over time. You know what I mean? So
Measure and track. Write it down if that's what you're doing. Just something so you can look and refer to.
yeah, and that's it. And then if you don't know what's going on, then you can look back at it and go, okay, well, this has been happening for a while now. I now know, okay, if it's poor sleep, I might need to go get a sleep supplement, or I need to change my sleep routine, you know? And that's then obviously where you can then start monitoring and measuring and seeing if it's actually working.
Right. Okay. Excellent. All right. So that's Dan's tip number 2 is measure and
Manage.
manage. Perfect. Okay. And number 3, what would be your third top tip for nutrition and for weight loss?
Oh, this is
live.
Yeah,
He's
this is pressure on right now.
That's
I like
right.
this.
It's real.
Yeah,
This video is real. There's no cuts.
Yeah, none of that stuff. It'd probably be, you got to look at it in terms of sustainability. So this is the thing that why I got into pretty much the industry and where I'm at now is I don't like the 8, the 12 week, the 4 week, whatever, those sort of challenges and stuff like that, because they don't talk about sustainability. Like in terms of like obviously coaching, that's a lot of our bread and butter. You know, you get your before and after and everyone looks amazing and stuff like that. I get excited when I see the after.
Right. So
Because
months,
once they've done that and then you look back at it and they go, oh, you look worse than your before one, because they didn't create sustainability and they didn't teach how to make it sustainable.
Sure.
So if we're looking at it in terms of like, you know, and nutrition, okay, can you, like I said, I've been saying it a few times now, can you continue this for a period of time afterwards? Or is it just very, very short and aggressive and you're not going to get the result you want afterwards, which then makes you feel bad about yourself and then go, okay, well, I know that to get to the body that I was before, I did this. And then as you go back to the 8 week and then you create this lovely cycle of all you do is just find different 8 week challenges around the place that don't really get you that result you want, but you just feel good because you're always doing something. Right. So it's not creating a good sustainability with a person. And that's why I think people need to understand is it takes time, but a sustainable progress is progress.
Right. So you're looking for positive, permanent change.
Yeah.
Not just quick fixes.
Yeah.
Sustainability.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the more times you look at it, if you diet once, you gain it back twice as easy, and it's twice as hard to lose it. So if you've done yo-yo dieting for a long period of time, well, guess what? It's now like it's an absolute bitch to lose the body fat you've now got, you know, and it's going to take you longer again, and you're going to have to then start doing more drastic things. Whereas if you approach it from a small, you know, you measured, you managed everything, you know, you scaled your expectations to your commitments, and you've done it in sustainable progress, you're going to keep the results that you've got.
So, and that's the common misconception that some people have is they've just got to chop their diet down to no calories. So,
yeah.
But I think that's really good advice. So you, just to recap, it's manage your expectations.
Yep.
Measure and manage. And
it's all about sustainability
to keep someone in that healthy state over the long term.
Yeah.
There you go. 3 great advice structures when it comes to nutrition and weight loss. We didn't know that was coming. I really like that. I thought
I didn't know that was coming either.
There you go. It's all right. Really appreciate that. And so that's pretty much the all the questions that we had listed down. I've got a question for you before we wrap up.
Yep.
And this is going to be a tough one because there's so many out there. At Fat Burners Only, we give advice and make videos, etc. But we also do supplementation.
Yep.
What's your favourite supplement out of any supplement on the market?
It's going to sound like a sex joke, but I love that D. So vitamin D
Vitamin
for sure.
D.
Yeah. Purely because a lot of people anyway are very vitamin D deficient,
Sure.
and it's actually shown to have a lot of good research in improving things such as depression, bone metabolism, muscle growth, even cell receptibility. So if you're having some hormone issues, you know, vitamin D can be good. Obviously, make sure that you do get checked first to see if there's no medical issues that may arise from you consuming that. But yeah, definitely vitamin D.
And so with vitamin D, how many people do you think are out there as a percentage that are probably vitamin D deficient, just from the people that you deal with?
Everyone.
Everyone. So you would say everyone needs a vitamin D supplement?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And the ones on the Australian market are typically 1,000 units.
Yeah.
And how many units would you advise people take, or does it
Well,
vary?
it varies person to person. So it's actually body weight dependent. So what I'd normally say is, yeah, have a chat to one of you guys, and they'll be able to tell you based on that. But yeah, it's very. I don't want to say a magic number, because for one person who might be 100 kilos, it might be X amount. But then someone who's 60 kilos, that might be too much, and that might, if they have an issue, that may cause some problems, or they just might get too much of it, because it is a fat soluble vitamin, so it can stay in your system for a long time. Exactly. So I normally just say, chat to someone who actually knows what they're talking about, and then you'll be safe.
So if I'm a 75 kilo male, which I am, how much vitamin D would you recommend someone like myself have?
Approximately 4,000 IUs.
Every day?
Yeah, every day.
Right, okay. Yeah. Excellent. All right, so that's some good advice there as well. Have you got any comments to make at all before we wrap up?
No,
all pretty good.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've gone into a lot of detail, but all valuable information. So Dan is from Team Ecto. If you do want to get in touch with him, you can send us a message and we can link you guys up. He is a PT, a nutritionist, and a sports scientist.
Yeah.
Right, excellent. And like you told me before we started chatting on camera, you deal with a lot of fitness competitors.
Yep.
And obviously you're really great at it, because people keep coming back to you time and time again. But you also love dealing with the normal person, because their problems are more interesting.
Yeah, well, if I can help one person who is going through a real hard time, and their ability to then change how they view just food, training, and lifestyle, and actually create like a really good life for them, that to me is so cool. Like being able to actually help someone and go, you've changed the way I view things. It's not always about extreme diets or extreme training fads, but actually going, okay, I've come to you and I see everything from a different perspective now. That's what I really love, like being able to help people, change their lives.
And once they've learnt that, you can't take that away. But
no.
If they weren't there and they didn't learn it to begin with, they had no education to make that change.
Exactly. So that's why I love working with people like that. It's just, that to me, like really gets me going. That's like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
And you were saying as well that a fitness competitor, although you love training them, they're easy. Oh, they're committed individuals.
Exactly.
And it's so almost a cookie, not exactly a cookie cutter approach, but you know how to do it.
So it's not cookie cutter, because every person is different, and obviously they come from different positions, different divisions, federations. But if you look at a fitness competitor, they're highly motivated. They want to get up on that stage. So if you've sat them down and you explain the process, and they know it, and they already have a great kind of understanding and buy-in. They're going to be. You can tell them to eat dog shit, and they'll go, cool. What breed? How much? And when would you like me to have it? So there's no real like that. They understand what they need to do to get the job done, So I love training them, because I can throw nasty programs at them. I can, change their diet if they need to, and they'll just follow it perfectly, Whereas, if we're working with someone who is not doing that, and they just want to, look good for bikini season and stuff like that, then you have to really start working with their lifestyle and making it work for them. And that's what I find is a very, very big difference. So a competitor will do the job because, they got a date in mind and they have to hit that date. Otherwise, show's over.
That's right. Yeah. So they're more committed. Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. So Dan is also we're proud to have him on board as an affiliate to Fat Burners Only as well. So that wraps it up. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, like I said, just pop a comment under this video or hit us up directly at the shop, and we'll get you in touch with Dan. Right. Thanks, Burners. We'll catch you later.
See ya.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
No
it.
worries.
Thanks.
Thank you.